Good morning, everyone. It's Erica here from Me to You Paper Crafts. My apologies for coming an hour late. I just wasn't ready at 10. I was still trying to figure out some dimensions for the card I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to share all the measurements so that you can go ahead and make one as well. So welcome to my channel. My name is Erica, and I am from Me to You Paper Crafts. That is my business name. You can find me on YouTube, Pinterest, and here on Facebook and Instagram as well. And I just love paper crafting. I've been paper crafting, pretty well my whole entire adult life. I'm very proud to say that I have hardly ever sent a store-bought Christmas card for sure. And I make all my own birthday cards, thank you cards, etc., etc. I've been making cards for years and years and years, and I just love it. It's a creative outlet. It lets me play with color. I get lots of inspiration from things I see in nature. Color is everywhere. I just love it. And I love to share what I produce and share what I make and hope that you become as addicted as I am. So I've been a Stampin Up demonstrator for 11 years now. And yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. So if you're already a Stampin Up demonstrator and you have found me to follow, welcome. I love sharing my inspiration with other demonstrators so that they can share that inspiration forward. And if you are a current customer or a customer to be, perhaps, welcome as well. You can leave a comment so I can see that you're here. And also, perhaps, if you're new to me, I'd love to know where you are coming in from. So I'm just refreshing my page here so that I can see my feed on Facebook to make sure that I am there. Yes, I am. There I am. Okay, so welcome. So I'm going to turn my camera down. I'm going to show you the stamp set that I'm going to be using today. It's one of our brand new bundles. So in the catalog, we have suites, and a suite typically means a stamp set with coordinating dies or a punch. It could also include an embossing folder, usually includes designer series paper, telling you all the different colors that you can use with that stamp set. And also it might come with some embellishments, some ribbon perhaps. Those are what suites are. So there's one item number for a whole suite of products, or you can order those products individually. And then Stampin' Up comes out with bundles. So a bundle is just a stamp set and either a set of dies or a punch, for example. And so you pick whatever papers that you want, whatever colors that you want, okay? Lovely thing about Stampin' Up is everything coordinates, all the colors coordinate. So they take a color and they push it through all of the coloring tools. So from our alcohol markers through to our watercolor markers, through our paper to our ink. So everything coordinates beautifully. Okay, so I'm going to turn my camera down. Just going to switch cameras here to my desktop, and I'm just going to pull my camera down so you can see closer of what I'm showing you. So here is the catalog. Okay, so this is the bundle I'm looking at, Inspiring Snapdragons, it's called. So the key thing to always note is that if you want the bundle, which means in this case it's a stamp set and a set of dies, you use one item number, and it's up here in the middle of the page. Okay, so here's the item number. The whole set is $72. This is Canadian, and it's the stamp set and the dies. People don't always want the dies, so you can order the stamp set separately, or sometimes, depending on what the dies look like, people may only want the dies. So there's two different item numbers here at the bottom with their individual prices here. So you just really need to watch, because if you want both, you're best to buy the bundle because you get 10% savings there rather than purchase this plus this. There's no 10% here, but there's 10% if you order the bundle. So that's how those work. And I love snapdragons. I used to have a lot of snapdragons in my garden, but I don't anymore. And now I'm inspired. And it's funny because there's another stamp set that is one of our online exclusives, and it's called Flowering Zinnias. And I've never grown zinnias, but I love that stamp set so much. And I've made so many cards with that stamp set that I actually bought a packet of seeds, and I have a pot of zinnias growing. I can't wait till they fully come up and fully bloom. And so this is inspiring me to maybe next spring is to plant some snapdragons. And I think they do, I think they're a perennial. So I think they come back every year. So I need to either put them in a pot or find a little patch of dirt where I can actually plant some snapdragons. Now, if you're not familiar with snapdragons, if you just do a Google search for snapdragon images, oh my gosh, you'll get tons of images. And the wonderful thing about snapdragons is they come in every color possible. And some of them are two-toned. And so that's the first thing I did when I thought about designing this card is I went to look at all the colors of snapdragon. So there's lots of inspiration there. Okay, so let's show you the stamp set and then the dies. I'll just set my catalog aside here. So here is the stamp set, Inspiring Snapdragons. So it's a red rubber stamp set. So what's really great about the red rubber stamps is that you can stamp the image and then you can use a sponge dauber and daub on another color. So you could do 2 shades of pink, for example, stamp 1 shade in a lighter pink, and then use a sponge dauber and tap on another color, the darker color, or you can use our watercolor markers. You can't use alcohol blends, I'll just tell you that, but you can use the watercolor markers. So you can make it two-toned, and I'll give you an example of that as we get going. So today we are, and then there's a couple of dragonflies. There's a small and a large dragonfly. I've got the larger one out here. So there's one with the wings that are completely horizontal, and then this one has the wings in a different position. You've got 3 sizes of snapdragons, and you've got 3 greetings, and you also have a little bit of background grunge if you wanted to just add a little bit of background to it, or you can anchor them in some dirt and just use this as the dirt part. Okay, so beautiful stamp set. And just wait till you see the dies. Look at these dies. Okay, so there's 3 sizes of snapdragons. So these are the outlines. So I'm going to be using this one today, the smaller one. Okay, and then you've got the medium, and then medium and the large, and you've got some stems if you want to add some stems. There's no stamp for the stems, just cut this out of green paper, any of our colored greens. And then what's fantastic is you've got these dies here. So we're going to use this die and we're going to make another snapdragon with that die. Okay, so one cuts the outline of the stamped image and the other one just cuts out a snapdragon. Okay, so those are the dies. I can't wait to make a whole bunch of cards with this set. Okay, and today is all about embossing folders. So I've designed a card, and that's why I was a bit late this morning. My dimensions weren't working out quite the way I wanted them to. And so we're going to be using these embossing folders. So I've chosen 3 of our newest ones. We've got this Eyelet 3D embossing folder. This is in the annual catalog. We've got the Dashing Designs 3D embossing folder. So that's also, these are all current. And then we've got this So Swirly embossing folder. Now, this one is not a 3D. It's one of our thin ones. So you have to do a bit of a different, what am I looking for? Sandwich on your embossing machine. But these 2 are 3D. So you will use the gray plate, the plate number 4, to cut these out. Okay. So I'm going to show you a card. I made up a card just to test my design. So here it is. So I decided to do I love monochromatic cards. So this is Blueberry Bushel. So I haven't done anything on the inside yet, but Blueberry Bushel. And then I did 1 embossing folder here, the second embossing folder on this layer here, and then the final embossing folder on this layer here. And then I did I did a dragonfly, of course. And then I did one of the flowers and then one of the cutout flowers. And then for the circles, I decided to use these circles. These are our stitched, what are they called? These are called our Stylish Shapes dies. So you've got circles and squares, and then you've got some greetings. These are just a must-have and are still available. Okay, and these are the 2 sizes that I've used here. So I'm going to duplicate the exact same card, but this time I'm going to do it in a very popular brand new color called Petunia Pop. Check out this color. I'm going to add another light here. Check out this color here. It's just brilliant. And then, of course, I've got the coordinating ink pad here. Okay. And so it's monochromatic, but I really wanted the dragonfly to pop. So this color is Pretty Peacock, because I think dragonflies, when I see dragonflies, they have this pretty peacock color in it. It's a greeny color. They're just absolutely stunning. I don't get many dragonflies in my garden, but I did see a huge one just the other day, and it was just magnificent. And they just shine in the sun. So I've got a bit of Wink Estella on here as well. All right, so let's get started. Now, when I was making this card, I went back to my trusty, I've shown this lots of times in my videos. I made up this little template of different sized card bases. These are based on 1/4 inch increments. So here's your card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I cut a piece. This is the first layer, 4 by 5 1/4. And I just kept going down 1/4 inch. So often when I'm designing, if I'm not sure what size I need, I just drag out one of these and then I place it on top of my card base to try and decide, is that too big, too small, or whatever. So this is what I started with to design this card. Okay, so I've got my card base ready here, and then I've got 3 pieces of basic white, and I've got the measurements here. I will pop, hi Christine, nice of you to join this morning. I think you're going to love this card because I'm using 3 embossing folders. Christine loves embossing folders. So I've already cut 3 of my basic white pieces. This first layer is 4 by 5 1/4, so this one is going straight on top of the card base. Then I've got one at 3 by 4. And then I've got one at 2 1/2 by 3 1/2, okay? And then I'm going to create, I need to create 2 more layers in the Petunia Pop color for these 2 pieces, okay? Now, rather than give you measurements for those, although I will put the measurements in the description later, I just wanted to show you how I usually do my measurements. I like to see it on my trimmer. So when I've got my white piece, typically the stamped piece, you might want to say, when you go to cut your layer, I look and I say, okay, this is 3 by 4, okay? So to make it bigger, I'm going to go 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, okay? I'm going up 1/8. So I've got another piece of Petunia Pop here, cardstock here. Okay. Oh, I just see here. Look at this. I've got a piece of, this is Highland Heather. It's on my desk. I just wanted to show you these 2 colors together. Aren't they pretty? Highland Heather and Petunia Pop. Yum. Okay. So this is 3 by 4. So I'm going to go, so when I cut my cardstock, this is going to be my layer. So I position it at 3. Okay. I'm going to 3. Now maybe I should zoom in a bit more just to show you. Can you see that? So I'm going 1/8 of an inch. I think I'm zoomed in maybe too much. Here we go. So it's 3 by 4 is the white. So I go over to my 3 inch. Okay, that's the white piece. And then I move over 1/8 of an inch. Now, there's a demonstrator out of, I think, yeah, she's in Edmonton, and she helps her customers by using the word tick. So if you look at your ruler here, each line represents a tick. So she will say it's 3 plus 2 ticks, 1, 2. So to know the measurement, the true measurement, this is 3 inches. The first tick is 3 1/16 and 1/16. And then the second tick is 1/8. Okay, so your 8s are all of the second lines in here. So you've got 3, then this is 1/8. If you move it over 2 ticks, another 2 ticks is 1/8, another 2 ticks is 1/8, then another 2 ticks is 1/8. Okay, and 2 8s makes 1/4. Okay, so it really is worth the time to kind of understand how your measurements work, because we base card making on measurements for sure. Okay, so I want to go 3 inches, which is my white piece, 3 by 4. So 3 and an 1/8 is 2 ticks. So there's my 1/8. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. Okay, my other measurement is 4. So again, I'm going to go to 4. Move this over. Here I am at 4. And I'm going again 2 ticks for 1/8. Okay, so there is the layer for this piece. So it's 1/8 of an inch bigger. Okay, so let me zoom back out. Oh my gosh, this isn't going to let me zoom back out. There we go. Okay, maybe I need to zoom in a bit more. All right, so let's do the next piece. So this is an easy measurement, this layer. It's 1/8 bigger. So this is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 to fit my 3 by 4. Okay. Now the second measurement here is 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. And some people struggle, 2 1/2, what's an eighth more than 2 1/2? Well, I happen to know it's 5/8, but some people don't know that. So again, you can use the same system. So I'm going to cut this to 2 1/2. My layer is 2 1/2. Okay, 2 1/2. So I'm going to go to 2 1/2, and I want an 1/8 bigger. So I'm going to go 2 ticks. 1, 2 ticks. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. And then it's 3 1/2. So I'm going to go to 3 1/2, and it's 1 tick, 2 ticks. Okay. So there is your measurement for this one. But the true measurement is 2 and 4/8 is a half. So 2 5/8 by 3 5/8 is the true measurement. And I'll put those measurements in the description. Okay, so I've got those layers ready. So I think all my cutting is done. All right, so the key to this card is embossing. So you want to decide what layers you want to emboss with which embossing folder. Okay, and really in the end, does it really matter? Probably not. Okay, so this one I might switch it up a little bit. So on the first one, I did, this layer is this background layer is Dashing Designs. Okay. My second layer is the eyelet 3D embossing folder, eyelet. And the last one is the swirl. So I do kind of like the busyness of these two pieces and then something a little bit more muted, but you may think differently and want to do something differently. It's totally up to you. So I will, just for fun, I'm going to switch it up. I think I'm going to take the swirly one this time. Okay, so this is a large embossing folder. And as I said, it's not 3D, so you're going to have to do some layering on here. Or not layering, what's the word I'm looking? You're going to have to add some sandwiches in here. So, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for the word shim. So often a shim is just a piece of cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to put that swirly in there, and then I'm going to go to my machine and I'm going to cut this out. So when you're using embossing folders, you just want to use the base plate, and then I'm going to see if two acrylic plates will work. But I think that's going to be too. I'm just going to try it, and I think that's. Oh, actually, it's working. Okay, so for this swirly, this embossing folder, it's traditional. It's a traditional embossing folder in that you're going to use 2 acrylic plates as a sandwich, one on the bottom and one on the top, and then you're going to run it through your machine. Okay, so here is my swirly. Every time I see this or use this card, it reminds me of chocolate. Okay, so that's the swirly embossing folder. So Swirly, it's called. This is what it looks like. So swirly. Okay, so that's going to be on my card base, straight up on my card base like that. Okay, next layer, let's see. Let's do the eyelet one next. I'm just reversing everything. We're going to do the eyelet one next onto this piece. Okay, so this is a 3D embossing folder. So this time you need your base plate and you need plate number 4. Which is this gray plate, okay, number 4. Okay, and you just put this on top of, here's the embossing folder. You're going to put this right on top, onto the base plate and run it. Now that didn't feel very tight to me, so this is what I mean about a shim. I've just got a half sheet of cardstock here, and I keep this with my other plates, and I'm just going to put this right on top of the gray plate and run it through again. It's going to make it a little bit tighter, and that way I will get a bit of a deeper impression. So that's called a shim. Okay, so here's this one. Look how beautiful that is, the eyelet one, the eyelet embossing folder. And it's really deep. Okay, so this one is going to be layered on top of this piece here. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to use, so this one is called the Eyelet 3D. So the 3D embossing folders are thicker. And the last one here is called Dashing Designs. And this is kind of a geometric pattern. It reminds me of quilting. So this again might need another shim just to make it a little tighter going in. Now, every machine is calibrated a little differently, so you may not need a shim at all. And some machines may need 2 shims. Okay, so 2 pieces of cardstock. It all depends on your machine and how old it is and how much you've used it. They're all a little bit different. Okay. So that is the last embossing folder. So I'm sure you have lots of embossing folders that you can play with. So this is going to be the last layer. Okay, so basically what we're going to do now is, here's my favorite trick. I've got my glue eraser and I'm just going to take off any hairy bits on my cardstock. This really does an amazing job of getting rid of the hairy bits. Let's check this piece. So if your blade is not overly sharp, you might have to do a little bit of shaving. All right, so we're going to use Tombow glue for this to glue on these layers. So this is, and I'm going to get out my silicone mat because I find my cardstock slides around too much on the glass mat. Okay, so let's layer this up. Now, if you wanted to have wider borders, then don't do the 8s, do quarters. Okay, so there's one. And this one's going to go on here. I think I'm out of camera here. And using Tombow glue gives you time to move it around a little bit. Okay, so there's the second layer, and then we'll do this one on the card base. Now this one is 1/4 of an inch. Now if you wanted to make it an inch or an eighth larger, then you can do that. 4 by 5 1/4, and then do your 2 ticks. Okay, so that's that. All right, so then it was a matter of just, I love the skewed look. You could do it straight on if you wanted to, like that. But I wanted to do my famous skewing, so I'm going to even skew opposite to this one. Okay, so this one is skewed to the right, but I'm going to do this one to the left, and this one's going to go to the, like this. Okay, so that's how my layers are going to look. So there you've got your 3 embossed layers, beautifully framed with more Petunia pop. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to focus on the background. Oh, I got glue on here. Okay, so, oh, look at the hairy bits on that piece. Got lots of hairy bits on this piece. Look at that. But I don't need to use that like that. Okay, so I'm going to grab my 2 sized circles. One is the, I'm hoping this is wide enough, and it's not quite wide enough. So let's grab another piece of Petunia pop. And I'm going to run this through my machine. So this card would be fun. Oh my gosh, you could do so many different things with this card. You don't have to do monochromatic. Each layer could be a different color, and then you could do the same colors for the Snapdragons. That would be really fun. All right, so there's our circle. And then we also need, let me put these things out of the way, the smaller circle in the white. Now, you could build up your Snapdragons right on this piece as if you wanted to, or you could add a square on here, or I really like the circle. It kind of pulled your eye into the center. But again, you can do whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this circle out of this piece of card here. Look at that. Okay, so you've got your 2 circles. All right, now it's time to do some stamping. Now I'm just going to grab, I wanted to show you, I'm going to grab polished pink. Polished pink, and what's that color I have there? Petunia pop. So I wanted to show you what else you can do. So I'm picking a lighter color, and I'm going to set enough room for the dragonfly. Yeah, I can fit that in there. So I'm going to stamp or ink up the it's not a dragonfly, it's a hollyhock. No, it's not a hollyhock. They're snapdragons. Hollyhocks are beautiful. I'd like them to come out with a hollyhock stamp set. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to take one of my markers. So these are the 5 new in color markers. And I can never get them out of this box. Go to the, no, both ends are the same. It's kind of a complicated little box to open. I don't keep them in here anyway, so let's take them out and throw out the box. All right, so I want this Petunia pop, and I'm going to take, so these are water-based markers. I'm going to take the fatter end, which is a brush tip, and then I'm just going to dab on randomly. I'm just going to dab on a bit of other color. Okay, now before I stamp it, I need to re-moisten it, so I just kind of huff on it and then stamp it. Okay, so there you get a two-toned Snapdragon. Okay, so you can use these markers for that technique. All right, so I'm going to stick with just the Petunia pop for my, got another piece of white here. Okay, so I'm going to cover up my bubble bath. We're not using this color. I just want to stick with Petunia pop. Seems that this is the most, these are the 5 new in colors here. And it seems there's 2 pinks. There's a light pink and a dark pink. This pink is called Pretty in Pink. This was an old color that Stampin' Up! Used to carry in their main family of colors. And then it retired, but they brought it back, Pretty in Pink. And then you've got this Petunia pop. So these 2 colors work beautifully together. Then they came out with 2 greens. So this green is called Summer Splash. And this green is Shy Shamrock. Shy Shamrock is a gorgeous color. Okay, so you've got 2 new greens. And then they threw in a peach. And this is called Peach Pie. So I was listening to another demonstrator the other day, and she said, we have so many pies in our family now. We have pecan pie, pumpkin pie, peach pie. We might have another pie in there somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to ink up my flower, a Snapdragon, and I'm going to stamp it. And I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to stamp it again. Okay, I'm just looking at my ink pad, and I'm wondering, I'm going to take a spoon here. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes the darker pads, here's my spoon. Sometimes the darker pads, I don't know, they can be a bit mottly. So I'm just going to smooth over this is brand new pad. So I'm just going to smooth over with the back of my spoon. Okay. Luckily I have some paper towel here. Just going to clean that off. Okay, let's try that again, because it was looking a little funny. That's better. Or maybe it's just the stamp, but there's something funny going on here, but maybe it's just the stamp. Let me just look at the blue one. Well, it kind of did the same thing on the blue, so it's probably just the stamp, the way they've etched it out. So I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so here is the die for this. So I'm going to cut this out. Now, did you know, I wanted to point this out to you too, because I wasn't aware of this at the outset. When you have a die that has a stem on it, okay, on the stem bit here, see if you can see that on the white here. On the stem, they've got a hole. So when you're positioning the die, you know how skinny the stem is, right? Look how skinny that is. But when you're positioning the die, you want to make sure you see the stem through the hole. So you'll see the ink, you see, well, you're not going to see this, it's a bit far away, but if I position it like this, I see the white cardstock. But if I position it on the stem, I want to see the stem color through here. So that when you're positioning your die, you want to make sure that you see the color. And then you'll know that you've got the stem is going to cut out properly. Okay, I'm just moving this over a tiny bit. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to use my tape to cut that out. Okay, and I'm also going to stamp a little dragonfly, and I'm going to use Pretty Peacock again because I just love that. Whoops, love that color. And let's do the peacock dragonfly right here. Okay, now the same thing will, no, it won't. Sorry, I take that back. It won't hold true for the dragonfly because it's got a whole stem on it. So here's the dragonfly die. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. Okay. No, I'm right. I'm wrong. I'm right. I'm wrong. Okay, so let's take a look at the dragonfly now. See the dragonfly? On the tail of the dragonfly, there's 2 holes here. So again, when you're positioning this on the dragonfly, make sure you have the wings and the head in place, but you want to move the tail and so that you can see the color through it. Okay, so there I see my color. I'm going to pull it down a bit more, and there's my color. I can see it right through there. Okay, so make sure it's not white in those holes. And then you know that you have it positioned properly. So let me just stick on a bit of tape. Okay, I'm going to go and cut these 2 out. And then at the same time, let me just put this on my platform. So I've got my Snapdragon and my dragonfly, and now I'm going to grab the outline of the other hollyhock. Look at this. It's I don't know. I'm referring to it as a filigree stem. I just so happen to have a piece of perfect sized Petunia pop here. So I'm going to run all that through my Big Shot. Oh, not Big Shot, Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so look at that cool outline. You could use that in a design. Okay, so I'm going to pop out all these pieces here and then pop out all my pieces. Okay, and then make sure all the pieces are out of the die. So there's that. Look how gorgeous that is. Okay, and then I need my Snapdragon. And I need a dragonfly. Okay, so we're ready to start. I have a little tip here for you. I have this old Brown Social House gift card here, and or any old expired gift card. Okay, and so when your little bits are stuck, especially if your acrylic plate is well worn, well loved like mine, the little bits get stuck on here. Well, I just use my credit card and just scrape it off right into my recycle bin. That's how I clean that up. Boy, I really kind of like that idea. Might have to make a card out of that. All right, here's my little dragonfly, and here's this piece. Okay, So we are going to simply glue this circle onto this piece here. Now the other circle sets we have are the deckled circles, and they have kind of a more narrow outline. So you could use those if you wanted to. Okay, so what I did here is I put this one in the background. So I've got my Tombow glue in a little bottle here, and I'm loving it because it's a fine tip, so I can just really control my glue a lot better. Okay, so I'm putting this one on here like this. And then this one I'm going to put on dimensionals. So I'm going to get out my mini dimensionals. I have a few left on here. Okay, and I'm going to put this on top. I'm going to kind of overlap the stem a little bit, like so. Okay, now my dragonfly, I'm also going to put dimensionals on. I was just able to fit these minis. We could almost use smaller mini minis. We need some mini minis. That did work. Okay, and I'm going to put this on later. Okay, so let's get our card here. So we've got this piece done. Okay, so I'm going to just glue these on. Again, I'm just going to use my Tombow glue. I'm just going to throw glue on there. So this one I'm going to do opposite. See, this one I did it tilted to the left. Oops, I'm going to tilt it. Well, actually, yeah, there we go. That's what I want. Tilt to the left instead of to the right. And then this one I'm going to do opposite. Like so. Okay. And this is going to be glued on top. Like so. And then I'm just going to grab my tweezers and grab my dragonfly. And you can decide where you want to put him. I kind of liked him on this flower here. So I'm going to put him here. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my Wink of Stella. Where's my Wink of Stella? And I'm going to wink my dragonfly up. You could put a little gemstone on there if you wanted to on his body. And there's the second card. So with the embossing, I didn't think that these cards needed any embellishments. I think the embossing just adds enough texture on there, and then you've got your little wink on there on your little dragonfly. So there you go. There are two versions. So you could make these in all the different colors, and you could mix up colors. So I had first thought I was going to do a yellow one. So that would be brilliant as well. But there's no reason why you can't mix and match some of these. So even with the blue, you could do a yellow card base. This could be in blue, and then this one could be in yellow. So you could change it up a bit. So I'd love to see if you decide to make this. I'd love to see what you make, just to see if you change up the colors. And yeah, so have fun with that. So I will be back on a Thursday night. So let me just say goodbye. I will be back on Thursday night for Mojo. No, not Mojo. Today's Mojo for Case the Caddy. And I might actually continue using this set in case one of these. Look at this one. This intrigue. Oh, I'm not showing you my camera. Hang on. I'm not showing you my desktop. Let's put you back here. Look at this one. It's kind of got a window into a background piece of designer series paper, and then it's got layers of the dragonflies. I love that. Or not dragonflies, the snapdragons, and then you've got your little, excuse me, dragonflies on there. And then look at this technique here where they actually blended. I don't know how they did that. They probably cut this out, put it in there, and then blended it all. Yeah, I'll have to figure out. I'm not quite sure the order of that, but look how cool that is. Because you get this piece to use as well. Kind of cool. Okay, there you go. So as I said, I will see you on Thursday night. Bye for now. Enjoy your crafting this week. Bye.